What's going on, guys? It is Steve coming to you today with another video. This is a video that I wanted to make a couple of days ago, but I've just been so busy in my personal life, just haven't had a chance to do it. But I have some time today, so I wanted to sit down and just talk about the Muppets news. The Muppets news that we're losing Muppets 3D. It's being replaced by Monsters Land, which is pretty much, I think, at this point, a given. Like, I know there was still some, a little bit of discussion that, maybe it'll go to Animator's Courtyard or whatever, but I think like it was pretty much at this point known that it was going to be going to Muppet's Courtyard. In the sense that I think that if they had known that it wasn't going to go to Muppet's Courtyard, I think they would have told us that months ago, or whatever, right after D23, when all the speculation started, swirling in the conversation about where this new Muppets land was, or where this new Monsters land and where this new Monsters coaster and so forth was going to go. Monstropolis. But lo and behold, a couple days ago, we got the news from Disney Parks blog that Monstropolis is taking over the Muppets Courtyard, taking over Mama Melrose, taking over Stage 1 merch shop. Here, I'll just pull it up real quick. And you guys have probably already seen this before, but actually it helps me just to look at it too while I'm talking to you guys. But yeah, so there's the artwork, the artist rendering or artist concept artwork for Monstropolis and how it's going to totally wipe out Muppets Land. You can see this theater here. That's the current Muppets 3D. Looks like it's going to be a new Monsters show, the way I understand it, the way Disney explained it. I think you could read on the sign. It looks like it says Monstro, whatever that's going to be. Let's see, this is the restrooms. This is Pizza Rizzo here. So you can see the fountain is gone, replaced by, I don't know what that's supposed to be. That's the Miss Piggy fountain. That's gone. Coming on back. This is currently Mama Melrose, but you can see it actually looks like they're going to use the same building, just bust out the facade, and that'll become Harryhausen's. This is the little Japanese restaurant that was in the Monsters movie where Mike Wazowski goes on the date, yada, yada, yada. So there you go. It's interesting. They're going to keep these building facades here. That's that Christmas. This is the Christmas gift shop that never opened. I always talk about this in my videos. It never opened after the pandemic. One of the only merch locations I know of that never came back is this one right here, which was a bummer because that was a very cool New York style classic boutique, Christmas boutique, but that we never got back. And probably that's the reason why we never got it back, because these planes have been in the works all along since. But so these are still facades back in here. Who knows what's going to happen with Pizza Rizzo at this point? Obviously, they're not showing anything here. And then when you lead into this back area, that looks like that's going to be the actual Doors coaster, the new inverted roller coaster for Monsters. Great. Everybody's happy about the coaster. But anyway, I don't want to... before we jump into that. And then the other thing is that to cushion the blow, we did find out too that Rock and Roller Coaster is going to be rebranded and rethemed to a Muppets coaster. There you go. There's your artwork for that. Muppets coaster. So Aerosmith is out. The Muppets are in. Muppets go across the street or down the street. And and then Disney did mention too, I think it's in this Parks blog. By the way, we're looking at the Parks blog here. It said something like, as we move forward with these changes, we have creative conversation, and we're having creative conversations, exploring ways to preserve the film. So they're talking about Muppets 3D and other parts of the experience for fans to enjoy in the future. So it sounds like at some point they have some idea, hey, we want to do something with Muppets 3D. So even once it's out of the theater that it's in now, the home it's been in since its inception, they want to maybe place it somewhere else. So anyway, here's my thoughts on this. I don't want this to become a super long video. I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it for a couple of reasons, and I'll tell you why. Number one, losing the Muppets stinks. Losing, in my opinion, anything original Hollywood Studios at this point, it's just it's awful. I think Hollywood Studios is probably, I've said it before, I think it's my least favorite Disney park. Used to be my favorite. It's my least favorite. Not happy with Galaxy's Edge. The whole thing with Galaxy's Edge and what Galaxy's Edge reminds you of when you go in there. It doesn't remind me of Star Wars. It only reminds me of sequel trilogy, which I'm not happy about. Again, first world problems. Maybe I should preface this whole video with first world problems. But not a big fan of the sequel trilogy like many folks or whatever. So why we don't rebrand Galaxy's Edge, bring it back to the originals or the prequels or do something. And So just going to Galaxy's Edge and what they did with Galaxy's Edge, I'm not a huge fan. Toy Story Land to me hasn't aged all that well either. It's kind of The ride is, Toy Story Midway Mania is fun, but that existed before Toy Story Land. The little coaster's fine. Little coaster's a fun little ride, but that's my whole thing too. So with the Muppet situation, we're losing Muppets 3D. I truly believe that they would never consider, or they probably never considered, like making the rock and roll coaster or the Aerosmith rock and roll roller coaster into a Muppets coaster if it wasn't for the pushback that they've been getting since about yanking the Muppet show out. Like, hey, we'll remove the Muppets, but we got this issue with Aerosmith and Steven Tyler anyway, and it's probably it's generational. Aerosmith is timed out. I don't think the current generation know as much about Aerosmith as myself, or if you're in my my demographic or age, Aerosmith as well either. But so I get like that they would want to rebrand it to something, but I definitely think like the current Disney is only doing this to quiet the folks down. Like, hey, we're going to yank your Muppets, but we're going to throw it in a roller coaster. Issues I have with that, and I've had this issue now for years with Disney, several years. And I don't know that many people bring this up, but I'm bringing it up, and I'm going to try to bring it up. And that's it. I feel like almost every attraction Disney builds at this point are coasters or rides that are not for everyone. Whereas what made Disney what it was, in my opinion, was it should be like the family vacation destination, right? Like, and that's what it branded itself as, like a place for families. But I don't know of a lot of grandmas and grandpas and 3-year-olds that are going to be hopping on the rock and roller coaster, right? But I do know a lot of grandmas and grandpas and 3-year-olds that are going to go sit down and have a fun time watching the Muppets. And the same thing went for Universe of Energy. And the same thing went for I don't know. Help me remember. What have we... Well, let's just look like the newest attractions, Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, I understand it's a smooth ride and everything, but tell that to someone that's got back pain. Tell that to someone that's got some type of, physical ailment or issue or something. I don't care how smooth a roller coaster is. It's high speed, and they have high speed warnings on them for a reason, because if you have health problems, it's not doable for you probably. And so Disney is definitely, in my opinion, moving completely away from family attractions and more towards rides, the thrill rides. And now they're not Cedar Park thrill rides or something. They're not, Giga coasters or monster coasters or something by any means. I'm not saying that, but they're definitely moving in that direction. We're losing an attraction for families, which was Muppets 3D, and it's just going to become part of a roller coaster retheme or something. So that doesn't really, I don't know. That's it's a net negative, right? Like it's a loss or something there. As for losing the Muppets and them saying that, well, we're going to, we're looking at it and ideas on what we can do with the film to preserve it and so forth. Let's be realistic. Number one, again, that wouldn't be coming up again unless there was all this fan backlash once this announcement started or these rumors started swirling after D23. And, even if let's say they move it into the theater, and I'm not going to name all the theaters by heart, but I'll tell you the shows that I'm talking about. It's like if they moved it to the Captain EO Theater over at Epcot, Journey into Your Imagination, whatever that theater is called. Or if they move it into any other existing theater that they can pack that show into or something. It's still not the same. Because part of it is like when you would go to the Muppets 3D show, it's about the building, it's about the queue to go in, it's about the pre-show, and then once you're seated, you kind of feel like you're like in a real classic turn of the century theater. You got the boxes, you got the artwork, you got the it looks like a beautiful theater inside. I highly, highly doubt, and I could be totally wrong. Fair enough. I don't know. I'm just talking here. But I highly doubt that Disney is going to invest the money into converting one of those other movie theaters into something other than a movie theater. I just don't think so. I think so. Like if they pack the Muppets show into another theater, probably I doubt you're going to have the animatronic guys, I forgot their names, the two old guys that sit up there and crack the jokes, the ending scene or something. Like, I don't think like you're going to get all of that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I just don't think so. I think like it would just be, here's your 3D movie. Enjoy it in the corner of some park that doesn't make sense or something. So all in all, I think, and I see this argument going on and on X so much, and I agree with it so much. You have so much land. The place is so big. The property is so big. You have expansion pads, parking lots. I don't know. Like, there was just nowhere else to build Monstropolis. I mean, heck, in the park, I've seen plenty of people making the argument. It makes total sense. Like, why is it not going into Animator's Courtyard? Like, what is going over there? I don't even know that I ever go to Animator's Courtyard for anything because, like, I have had a child. I would love to do some of those meet and greets or whatever, but they wrap up so early in the day, we miss them anyway. So, I mean, I don't know. It's a bummer. It is a bummer. Again, first world problem. So, it is what it is. But just Hollywood Studios is, I don't even want to say it's a shell of itself from what it was back in its heyday, back in that early 90s. MGM Studios, It's Fun, Catastrophe Canyon, Backlot Studio Tour. I don't know. Osborne Christmas Lights. I just could go on and on. I think like Hollywood Studios actually everything started to change really for the negative, in my opinion, with Lights, Cameras, Stunt Show. Lights, Cameras, Motors, Stunt Show, Spectacular, whatever it was. And once they built that, it was like, to me, Hollywood Studios was just going down. And now we're losing Mama Melrose. And it's a bummer because Mama Melrose kind of has become like a little tradition for us. Don't ask me how, but we've somehow ended up the last 2 Halloweens, after going trick-or-treating at Celebration or whatever, we hopped over to Hollywood Studios the last 2 years, and we go have dinner at Mama Melrose. So there you go. Like one little family tradition that I was just starting, that's down the toilet. Maybe we'll just change that over to Henryhausen's. I think that's what it is, the restaurant from Monsters. But I understand why people are upset about this one. I'm not shocked by Disney's decision. Disney hasn't been listening to fans for years. That's what 99% of the arguments are. So 99% of the fan backlash is that Disney they don't listen to their fans. Fans didn't want to see Muppets go. They didn't want to see the Muppets Courtyard torn down. And inevitably, it's going to happen anyway. Disney's going to do what Disney wants to do. Their business, I'm assuming they're doing this because they think it's a great business decision, excuse me. But I understand you need new things in the parks, but build new things. You don't always have to rip out old stuff. I do wonder, like, I'm a history guy, like, in the future, realistically, it's hard to imagine, but Disney is going to be around for a long time, long after you and I, most likely. I know, like, we say, oh, Disney's going to go bankrupt or something. They're going to disappear in the coming decades. But let's just say that Disney's around for a long time. Like, these parks are going to have a very historical value, and you're already seeing, like, the historical value to these parks already with, like, yanking out the Liberty Bell, Rivers of America. Like, people are like, this is historic. This is part of the original structure. So I do wonder, like, in the future, are historians and people going to look back on these days and be like, why did they tear down Notre Dame? What were they thinking? Or why did they remove the Empire State Building's top 50 floors? You know what I'm saying? Like I even wonder, like, historians are one day, like, several centuries in the future, going to be like trying to unearth the Muppets attraction building or something. But I know that sounds absolutely insane, but I have a history brain. I'm sure some of you guys are history people too. And you do wonder, like, I understand, like, the parks are always in flux. They should always be changing, yada, yada, yada. Fine. You have land, though. You build some new stuff. I just think, like, why do we always have to tear down, in the theme park world especially, why do we always have to remove everything? I don't know. Like, there's no historic value to anything. Like, I think at some point Disney's old enough that certain things do start to carry historical weight to it. And that's why you don't touch everything. Because in the future, someone's going to be sitting here watching and reading this article going back to, on whatever day it was. What was the date they announced this? November, they'll tell me on the Parks blog probably. Yeah, November 22nd. That was the day they announced it. Okay. So on the 22nd, someone's going to sit back going, November 22nd is the day that they announced they were going to knock down the spires of the cathedral or something, like, I don't know. I know that could be like a silly thing, but it's hard for us to wrap our mind around sometimes that not that far into the future, I mean, some of this stuff is going to be really, really old, right? And just constantly, like, these classic things, like, just covering them up, bulldozing them. I don't know why we need to do that with everything. And I think, like, that's a little bit, it's bad. And at some point, I think, like, at least, like, Disney needs to reevaluate always destroying stuff. I don't know. Like, some of these things need to be around for a long time for future generations. And I'm sure in the future generations are going to want to experience things that they can only see in video. So, anyway, that's my 2 cents on it. It is what it is. Again, I'm stating this again. This is a first world problem. I understand there are real problems in the world, both in your own home, in your own life, overseas, in world politics, domestic politics, whatever. But, in the realm of theme parks and in the realm of Disney, this sucks. It's a bummer. It really is. It's a bummer. I wish like the rate of changing the parks would just slow down, and instead fixing what you've got, making the parks clean, making them more efficient, figuring out a way to keep them profitable without being so greedy. But I don't know. I just went over to Universal Studios yesterday for Grinchmas. Had a blast. It was so much fun. Like, no additional tickets. You can enjoy, Dr. Seuss Land, meet the Grinch if you want to meet the Grinch, have an ice cream cookie. It's not a party exclusive thing. You can have it all day long. And I just don't know. We know Disney doesn't listen to fans. That's been the argument going back for so long with Disney now with the handling of their major IPs and Star Wars and Marvel and blah, blah, blah. And it's just, it doesn't stop there. It's in the parks as well. It's been in the parks for several years. And so this actually kind of came out like a rant. I didn't expect it to come out like a rant, but I don't have much to add to it. You guys have already heard the news, so y'all already know probably the news side of it. But this, I don't know. This is just how I feel. So anyway, that's a wrap on the video, guys. Make sure you sub to the channel. Notifications are on. Thumbs up the video if you enjoyed it, and let me know in the comments. How do you feel about losing Monstropolis? Losing Muppets Courtyard and the Muppets attractions and Mama Melrose and Stage 13, the gift shop. Do you agree with me? Are we at a point with the parks where some things are going to start to become a little bit historic, where we shouldn't just be knocking them down? Maybe we need to preserve some things, start preserving some things is historical or something. I don't know. Don't forget, this was Jim Henson's final project. I'm not a Jim Henson autobiographer. I don't know everything about the guy's background, but from what I understand, just in the last couple of weeks, this was his final project. Is there no historical weight to that? You have room. I just go back to, you have space, you have land, you have room, and you have some really creative people in the company. Hey, and let's build Monstropolis here, or hey, Muppet's Courtyard is used for absolutely nothing. We've gotten a lot of backlash. Why don't we just listen to our fans, listen to the folks out there? Let's not piss off everybody, and let's build it over there. I don't know. Whatever. So, it's a wrap on the stream. I'm actually getting ready to wrap this one up because I'm going back to Universal. Not because I'm angry at Disney, but because I'm blocked out at Disney. So as soon as I click the stop recording, I'm on my way back to Grinchmas for day 2. It's a lot of fun. Guys, take care. Have a great one. Let me know in the comments, how do y'all feel about the loss of Muppet's Courtyard?